Okay, this search is for a consulting firm that's using a large conference area and several offices. Basically, the budget is $3,000 to $4,000 a month, 2,500 square feet, 2 to 3 offices, 2 conference rooms, and an open area. And we're going to be looking at the Galleria. We're going to be looking at I-10 Memorial. We're going to be looking at Sugarland Town Center, and actually a couple options that I'm thinking of as well. So with all that being said, the first place I wanted to look at as far as the best value, because I know that you want a nice looking place that's going to have the look and feel that you want, but you don't want to pay more than you absolutely have to for it. So the value plays I like in the Galleria. We're going to zoom in. I actually put a boundary here along the freeway so we can really hone in on things in the range of 15 to 20 bucks a foot gross. Now, the top of the market in this area for Class A space, maybe it's going to be north of $30 a foot when you put your rent plus your triple net cost. The bottom of what I consider some of the nicer buildings is going to be about 15 bucks a foot. Once you get below 15, you get to Class C space, which I don't have a problem with. I think it's very nice. It's just typically smaller spaces. This is an example, Galleria Oaks, of a spot that was a Class C property. It's changed hands several times in the last few years. They are now trying very hard to give a new look and feel to it. It's right next to a recycling plant, which some people don't like. There's some day laborers that are also near the area that detract from it. The overall value of the property, however, I've been impressed with what I've seen on the inside. It's just something that we have to weigh. So I'll put this on the list so you can take a look at it and see what it's like. But it's definitely something I consider a value play. They may have some more room to be more flexible on this property once we start getting into negotiations if we go that far. Let's take a look at the rest of them. When you go on 610 here, let's see, 1700 West Loop South, there may be triple nets here that we need to think about. It's a Class B building, so I'm pretty sure that it could be a gross deal. Let's open it up and see. There's triple nets here. So this is $18 plus, let's say, close to $10 a foot triple net. So that may be 28 bucks a foot. So that's something that we wouldn't include on this. It looks nice, of course, it's Class A. But at 28 bucks a foot, I think there's better values there. So we'll pass on that. This one here, this will be the same thing. It's 18 bucks a foot, but that's not including the additional rents. Same with this, 19 bucks a foot, but it's not including additional rents. Now, this property was a gross property recently. Let's see if that's changed. Now it's triple net here, so it's 1850 plus triple nets. Once we figure out what the triple net costs are, this still may be an option for you to consider. It's a nice building. It's got covered parking. The parking may be tight if you have a large amount of people in conferences there. Now this property here, it has a history of not being listed accurately, but the Republican Party headquarters was here at some point. They may still be here. I've been a fan of this property. Let's take a look. I've been a fan of the property for the overall value that's here. The curb appeal is average, but the location's great. It's very centrally located. It's a very recognizable building, and this is a full service or gross rent level. So you know, for the detailed deal history and what I think we can get at this property, we'll talk later. But what it's listed at, you know, it's saying it's 15 bucks. So that's something I would include in the search for this area. Now the Executive Plaza is here. Let's see. Let's see if this is gross or triple net. Okay, so this is full service. This is something I would include. Nice looking buildings here. Nice looking lobby areas as well. Great landscaping. It's very clean. And with a gross rate at 20 bucks all in, it's definitely something that I think we should take a look at and see what they come up with when we start negotiating. Okay, so let me make sure we click on this and select it. So Galleria Oaks. Now the Southwest Center, you know, I guess we can include this one as well. For what you want to do, I think it's a great looking property, and it's a great price point at 15 bucks a foot, full service. Location is good as well. I don't see why you wouldn't consider drive by. If you like the curb appeal, and I do when I went by, I certainly would suggest that we talk and look at this as an option as well. And Regency Square Tower, this is one that I like this Regency Square area for people that are looking for value plays because there are a lot of very nice, well-maintained buildings in this area. Oakleaf does a pretty good job of managing their properties. So this is something that I would recommend. One of the higher points on the list, historically, the rents here have been lower, the 1650. They're pushing for an increase, but I would see where we can end up in negotiations here. There may be more room than what's listed on this spot, especially when we start looking at these other options. I wish I had a better picture here, but let me try to zoom in so you can see it. That's not going to work. Okay, so that's this area, so we'll include that as well. So let me go ahead, let's go to a different area now. So we're going to go, that's the gallery area. Now if we were to just go to I-10 Memorial area, let's go ahead and go along this stretch here on I-10. We're still looking for something central, so I don't mind going all the way down to Shepherd and just seeing what's in this part of the market. Now in the zone that you want, there's only 2 buildings here. Washington Place. This is not a bad building. Here at 1950, this is an all-in gross rate. Boxer Property manages this, so you know, the only thing I would suggest with Boxer, it's well maintained. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. We just need to make sure the tenant mix is something that is what you want. If there are other tenants there that fit the profile and you're comfortable with that, and you think that your clients will be comfortable, then it's great. And in many of the properties they have, that's the case. Sometimes that's not. You just have to check. So we'll check, but I think we should definitely add that to the list. 701 North Post Oak, listed by Ted Carey. It's a great property. Boxer listed this previously, but Ted's group took it over. They've done a great job with it, with the build out here, updated the lobby areas, which is really great. So it's overall it's an impressive building. Okay, so that's 701 North Post Oak. And as you can see on the I-10 area, there's really only those 2 that are value plays. Now, if we took out, let's put this here included. Now, if I took out the rent and just open this up, let's see what we get. Get a few more properties here that are going to be a higher price point. And I'm not surprised by that. So let's look at a different market. Let's go ahead and put that 25 back. So we're going to look at the Sugarland Town Center area now. And I'm reading into your requirements that you're trying to get in places that are seen as prestigious and successful in the marketplace. And we have a nice crop of properties here in Sugarland. One of my concerns with this being this far away from the market is you're limiting your base that's in other parts of Houston. I mean, if we look at the map here, and if we really were to focus on the southwest side of town, then this whole part of Houston is going to have a longer way to drive, and it's not exactly centrally located. So it's something to think about. So as we go in to the Sugarland market, let's take a look to see what's available here. Now if I put a boundary, things get much better right about here. I want to make it wider to get First Colony. Some Highway 6. And so there's a lot of properties here. Now this is a full service building at 20 bucks a foot. The curb appeal is pretty nice. I've been to this building and I think it's a great building. I think the rent rate is right on target for the spaces available. The only downside to me again is the location being so far away from the center of the city. A lot of these properties, I think this one is going to be a little bit more flexible as far as your leasing terms that they offer. I think it's still a 3 year at least minimum deal here, but they're going to be a little bit more flexible as far as term than some of the other properties. Let's see if this is a full gross lease or not. This is also gross. So a lot of these properties are $22 all in. It's medical office, so we probably wouldn't look at this property. But when you see a gross property, that's going to be your base rent plus your common area maintenance, taxes, and insurance all included. A triple net property does not include, it'll just include the base rent number here, but not exactly the additional rent costs. And sometimes when you're looking at these, we have to guess what those are going to be until we get a proposal or talk to the brokers directly. So as I zoom in, we're just going to zoom past a lot of these because it's so many. I think that these are, you know, I would exclude this one just because it doesn't have the curb appeal for the price point of some of those other properties. This is a very nice building. I think it's very well done on the inside. I was very impressed when I went to this property. I definitely think this is something you should look at. This one, it's not really my favorite if I had to pick. I'm familiar with this too as well, and I would include this one for flexibility's sake, but it is off the beaten path a little bit. You know what? Based on where it's located here and how far it is from the freeway, you know, let me know if the other ones don't work, and then we'll reconsider. These atrium buildings here with inside are well managed. I would take a look at these as well. Now, I believe this is a triple net building. I just want to confirm it. This is actually a gross building. This is a very nice curb appeal here. I certainly would want us to take a look at this property. Let's see if this is a gross or a... This is a sublease, so that's not applicable to what we want. There are a lot of properties here. Now this would have parking issues. These would have, I believe, additional rent that we need to consider. Let me confirm. Yes, this has triple net, so we're not going to consider that one. So some of these other properties here, as you can see, they say that they're office, but they're just a different look. It's if you're going to pay the 20, 22, 24 bucks a foot, I've identified some of the properties that I think are really impressive. That one's not too bad, but what I don't like, the curb appeal is great, but again, it's just so far off 59. If you're going to be way out here to begin with, I really don't think you should have to venture too far out, especially on Highway 90, because I'm thinking about the other people coming from the city. So those are a few options there. I think my favorite ones, the report will have all of these here so you can take a look. But my favorite ones I've identified, and if you want more options, let's just dig into it. There's just so many that I'm trying to lend you my experience here because I've been in all these buildings. But if you want to see more, we'll pull more for you to take a look at and go into greater detail. The last place I want to look, based on your requirements, was the North Market. This is our wild card here. If you want to get up in this area, it's right before we get into Greens Point, and we're talking about this area right here. Now, this is good for much of your demographic that you cater to in the Cypress Spring area, all the way down to the 1960 market, obviously that's very accessible. The Woodlands market and the crowd here, this is accessible to them either through the toll road or on 45. People downtown, it's just as easy for them to get to. You know, so it's, to me, it's a perfect center between the Woodlands and downtown Houston. It's on the Beltway and 45 and very near the Hardy Toll Road. So it's just very good as far as access goes. So I want to take a look at a few of the options here and see if there's anything that's noteworthy. This is one that I want to take a look at for a value play. They spent a substantial amount of money recently on renovations here. I've been very impressed with the development that's happened. All of the tough tenants that were here got moved out. And, you know, overall, I think it's worth a look if you want to see what's happening here. And there's several floors that are wide open that can be custom built to suit the needs that you have, especially here on the top floors. So I've been very impressed with the transformation. I'm interested in what you would think about it. So let me know if you're interested in touring this property. Greenspoint Park, you know, is another great building. I do like it. I think it's on the high side for some of the properties here in Greenspoint, but it's well kept. It's got a good tenant mix. There's some occupancy there's some vacancy there, but it's nice and quiet. It's well maintained. A little bit higher than what I think we have to pay here. Greenspoint Park as well. Let's see. Now, the thing about these buildings, I'll tell you, when you walk in, they're very impressive. There's some vacancies there, so they're all quiet. The parking lots will be half full in the middle of the day. I have a lot of positive things to say about these buildings, though. I think that they're very undervalued. These are major oil and gas companies that still reside in these properties. They've been here for 15, 20 years, and they're staying. Even part of Exxon staying in this market, contrary to what everyone's talking about. So you're finding rent levels here. I still think this is high for Greenspoint because there's so many other values that are in this market. But properties like this, they're just good options to look at. So I think the 11811 property here, this is, to me, it's before you get to Greenspoint. And I like this one because it's right on 45. It's very noticeable and easy to get to. If you're interested in actually looking in the Greenspoint market, there are several properties that are noteworthy to look at. And if I had to pick my favorites, I would have to say that I think you should take a look at Greenspoint Park. If you get turned off by the pricing, let's see what Michelle and the gang will do as far as pricing here. I think you should take a look at these properties. I think you should take a look at 11811. So there's hundreds and hundreds of properties here that we could choose from, and I've only identified just a handful, just 20, that I think are the best. But these are the best values in my mind right now for what you want, because we did talk about your demographic and what you're looking for. You want a property that's going to be able to be accessible to the affluent here in Houston, that's going to be safe and secure, and we're trying to avoid spots that may have security issues. And whenever we get to the Northwest market here, those buildings that I selected all have security. They have covered parking, they have video surveillance, they have people on staff. And when you get further out in these part of the markets too, you still need to be mindful. And the same goes for all of these properties too. I think there's a good mind for property management. So these are my top picks right now. I'm looking forward to your feedback and talking to you soon.